So, big news out of India on Independence Day 2025. A massive overhaul of the country's tax system was just announced. We're talking one of the biggest changes to the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, since it first launched. And believe me, it's going to affect millions. So, what exactly is this new system, and why is this huge change happening right now? Well, the government is really framing this as a major win for everyone, with the Prime Minister himself calling it a Diwali gift to the nation. The whole idea is to get these changes in place just before the country's biggest festival season kicks off. So, what's really inside this gift? Let's unwrap it. Okay, so to really get what's changing, we've got to take a quick look back at how things are right now. After 8 years of the original GST, the system has, well, it's become this really complex web of different rates that can be pretty confusing for everybody involved. Right now, pretty much every single product or service you buy falls into one of these four main tax brackets: 5, 12, 18, or 28%. For businesses, trying to figure out which category their stuff falls into can be a real headache. And for you, the consumer, it just creates a lot of confusing price variations. So, how do you fix a tangled web like that? Well, the government's proposal is bold. It's a radical simplification, one that's designed to replace all that confusion with something much, much cleaner. And when I say the change is dramatic, I mean it. The system is set to go from four main tax tiers all the way down to just two: 5% and 18%. The 12% and 28% slabs are essentially being absorbed into the other two. This is a fundamental redesign of the entire system, all aimed at one thing: simplicity. Okay, so what does this actually mean for your wallet? The scale of this shift is, well, it's staggering. A full 99% of items that are currently taxed at 12%, we're talking everyday things, packaged goods, are expected to drop into that lower 5% tier. And at the top end, about 90% of the goods in that 28% slab, think cars and electronics, they're going to move down to 18%. That could mean a huge price cut on a ton of products. But wait, you might be asking, what about stuff like tobacco or other so-called sin goods? Don't worry, they're not getting a tax break. Instead, there's a proposal for a special 40% tax slab just to make sure these non-essential items continue to be taxed at a really high rate. All right, so this brings us to the big question. What's the real-world impact of all this? Because, this isn't just about making paperwork easier. This is a massive economic bet, and it has some very, very clear goals. The timing here is absolutely key. The government is aiming to fire up consumer spending right before that big Diwali festive season. The logic is simple. Lower taxes mean lower prices, which eases the financial burden on families and hopefully encourages them to spend more. And for all the small and medium-sized businesses out there, this means simpler tax filing, less confusion, and a much better environment for doing business in India. But of course, a giant tax cut like this doesn't come for free. It has a pretty hefty price tag. The government is expecting to take a short-term hit to its revenue of around 500 billion rupees. That is a significant number, and it definitely raises a huge question. Is it worth it? And here's the answer, at least according to the governments and many analysts. They don't see this as a loss at all. They see it as an investment. That revenue cost, it's about 0.15% of India's GDP. But the economic stimulus, the extra growth that could be fueled by all that new spending, is projected to be around 0.7% of GDP. Yeah, that's more than 4 times the initial cost. Another really important thing this reform does is fix this wonky technical problem called an inverted duty structure. In simple terms, this is when a manufacturer actually pays more tax on their raw materials than they can charge on their final product. It's a logistical nightmare. This new, simpler two-rate system is designed to correct a lot of those imbalances. So this all sounds pretty much like a done deal, right? Well, not quite. There are still a few official hurdles to clear before this new tax system becomes a reality for everyone. First up, proposal has to go to a group of ministers for a full review. After they give it the green light, the final decision gets made at the big GST Council meeting, which is slated for September. And if everything goes to plan, The big rollout happens nationwide, right on schedule for Diwali in October 2025. So there you have it. The whole game plan is to create a much simpler tax system, put more money back into people's pockets, and give the economy a major shot in the arm. It's a classic trade-off, isn't it? A short-term revenue hit for what could be a much bigger long-term economic gain. The big question that remains is, will this bold economic bet truly pay off?